guys, and welcome back to Eden. So, like I've said before, it's been quite a while since I have last played these games, so I have no idea where I left off. So let's just jump right back in. She may have been pretty old, but she still had her childish tendencies. Setting aside her intellectual capabilities, her mental age might just suit her appearance more. I'm sure even you have things you're scared of. She seemed to have noticed it too. You heard that, right? Yeah. It was probably that radio. I turned my attention to the radio that sat where Scion was pointing. I too heard something other than static coming from it. Had the electromagnetic interference gone down? It had been a long time. Such a very long time. Where could the broadcast be coming from? I stood up, approached the radio, and adjusted the volume. I could hear something resembling music, but it was hard to make out with all the static mixed in. Maybe they left an unmanned station running somewhere. Or maybe a satellite broadcast from space managed to make it this far. Hard to tell. The radio was always tuned to the station that broadcasted Alicia's favorite musical program. Even if we tried tuning it to other stations, we just got static. This radio isn't in good shape either. After a few minutes of adjusting the volume and tuning... I hear something! So did I. I stopped adjusting it and listened close. Scion seemed to be focusing her senses in the same way. The music. Whoops. The music, it's so pretty. It is. In the past, when we still got reception on a regular basis, I used to listen to music like this with Elicia. I listened with Elicia once, as well. It has already become a distant memory for me. Distant, but cherished memory. Scion? Her eyes were slowly shutting. The strength left in her tiny body, and her head jolted violently. Scion! Oh? And suddenly her eyes opened. That's strange. With a vacant whisper, she rubbed her eyes awkwardly. Scion, are you sleepy? How weird. I slept so much and just woke up a little while ago. Scion! Perhaps she didn't even have the strength to remaining to stay awake. Rather than recovering strength while she slept, could she actually be losing it? I finally gained some stamina from my life here too. Ro, what condition is the mountain in? The mountain? Like always, I abruptly switched topics. Tell me the truth. It's not that great. The grass and trees, the vegetables in the field, the fish in the lake, everything on the mountain is starting to die? Maybe it's the world itself. It's all right, I blandly declared. If this mountain dies, there are plenty of other places to go. Our time together began with an escape, so I'll run away with you anywhere, as far as it takes. The truth is, I shouldn't have escaped. Her tone changed. It was like flipping a switch. It had been quite a long time since she had been so explicit. If I hadn't dreamt of seeing the outside world, Elicia would have lived longer. Elicia, my sister, lived her life for me, and I killed her. I couldn't bring myself to resent the person who stabbed my sister from the very beginning. I'm not qualified to do so. I've killed everyone who's ever protected me. Not just my sister, Major Inaba too. She knew that the Major was no longer alive? Keeping quiet about it must have been tough on her. And you too. Even though I saved people, meant to save them, the people truly precious to me, I hurt them. I hurt those who are important to me and then I lose them. Sion hung her head over the table, shoulders quaking. The room echoed with the pitter-patter of droplets. Sion. Oh no. Oh, Sion. She was crying. I couldn't see her face, but the tears kept coming. The static-riddled music was the only other sound in the room. That beautiful melody now sounded helplessly melancholic. You haven't killed anyone. I held back my sorrows and spoke from the heart. If I didn't say it now, there would likely never be another opportunity to erase her regrets. And I won't let anyone die from now on either. Sion, you gave me a purpose. Sion quietly gasped. I was hardly alive, piling on sin after sin. Not dead would be more accurate. What made me feel truly alive was the time I spent with you. And I'm willing to bet that it was the same for Elicia and the Major too. Don't forget the people who set out on a journey aboard the ships that you created either. The hope you gave them will one day take root on a new world. And Lavier and Maya will be there on mankind's new home. Those who had gotten to know Sion and died, and those who live on, not one of them had or would ever resent her, I was sure of that. Nobody regrets a thing. We chose to be with you of our own free will, so you have nothing to feel sorry for. You're wrong. It's not that I feel sorry. When she looked up at me, I could see her face was still wet from tears. She stared straight at me, a look of dignity upon her face. I just wanted to protect the people I love. Okay. I'm setting you down. All right. With Sion in my arms, I slowly laid her down on the bed. Sitting in a chair in the living room was more than she could manage, so she had no choice but to go back to bed. Thank you. Don't worry about it. I lightly brushed her bangs from her eyes. Sion giggled with embarrassment. Do you want anything? I do. Hold my hand. Is that all? I grinned and took hold of her hand. She squeezed back weakly. Bro? Sorry for crying earlier. Don't worry about that. I wanted to say everything on my mind while I still could. I see. The window frame clattered quietly. The wind had picked up. The weather is nice again today. It is. At least the sunlight hasn't changed. It's really quiet. It sure is. On this quiet ending world, I'm experiencing my first and final love. She whispered to herself and gave a brilliant smile. Her smile felt fleeting and looked like it might disappear any second, but was so beautiful I could never forget it. I prayed from the bottom of my heart for Sion's love, her happiness, to last as long as possible. I wanted her to live as long as she could. Sion? She had fallen asleep with the smile still on her face. Her hand was still tightly gripping mine. The sight of her breathing tranquility in her sleep, I adored it from the bottom of my heart. The end was definitely on its way, both hers and the world's, but all the same, it would be great if an infinitesimal sliver of hope, there we go, could arise from this cruel reality. And so I prayed. until the day she sleeps forever. Please, world, don't end. In the days that followed, Scion woke up and fell asleep again repeatedly. There didn't seem to be any set pattern for when she would awaken. There were times she would stay awake a whole day, and other times she would sleep for 3 days straight. I remained by her side as much as possible, to make sure she wouldn't be lonely when she awoke. While she slept, I held her hand, and while she was awake, we talked about all sorts of things. We talked about silly things from our childhoods and laughed together. These modest, happy times carried on until she fell asleep once more. Days like that continued for a while. And then she... No. Please, game, don't make me cry. It was warm. Something soft touching my shoulder. Someone called to me as they shook my arm. That pleasant voice and gentle warmth wiped the sleepiness from my mind. Elicia! Ah, you're finally awake. Elicia? Yes, I am Elicia. For some reason I had fallen asleep on Scion's bed and now Elicia was peering at me. I stared intensely at her carefree smile, unable to come to grips with what it was that I was looking at. What is it? You look like you've seen an alien. No. Come now, please go wash your face. Elicia grabbed my hand and tried to pull me away from the bed. I will collect your sheets, then prepare your breakfast. Sure. What is the matter? Surely you should be used to how beautiful I am by now. Setting your jokes aside. But... Don't worry about me. Looks like I was having a very bad dream. Would you like me to try and interpret it for you? Elicia, you're beautiful. Can you do that? Only vaguely. I don't want to hear your vague interpretation. She would definitely come up with some worthless explanation anyway. I scratched my head and got out of bed. Yes, hurry up and forget that bad old dream, and let's enjoy the day that lies ahead. Elicia clapped her hands together and spoke cheerfully. The start of a good day begins with a delicious breakfast. She gave me a light push on the back as I headed for the door. Oh, Major Inaba! When I reached the washroom, I found it already occupied. Yo! Major. Good morning. I quickly saluted Major Inaba, who was facing the mirror, shaving his whiskers with a razor. Morning. The Major quickly rinsed off his razor and casually wiped his mouth with a towel. Say, what are you saluting me for? Huh? You're a civilian now, though I do know how ingrained it can get. The Major smirked and hit me on the shoulder. He hadn't changed. The same sloppy soldier he'd always been. I'd like to hurry and retire already myself. He grinned as he loosened his collar, looking a little depressed. But I've gotten used to the ranking and a salary for a long time now. And when I think about my subordinates, I just can't resign that easily. People as poorly cut out for the government service as you are rare indeed. Isn't it a little early to be laying it on so hard? But I guess that is true. He hit my shoulder again, a little harder this time, and left the washroom. I looked in the mirror and tilted my head. I felt the same out-of-place feeling I had when I saw Alicia's face earlier. Far from fading, it was growing stronger and stronger. Wasn't I forgetting something important? Yes, you are. An incredibly nostalgic sight was laid out before me. A sight I never should have been able to see again. My long past. Morning, Ryou. Sis. The very sight of my sister sitting at the living room table, my chest felt like it was burning. What's wrong? It's nothing. Don't just stand there. Why don't you have a seat? Yeah. I sat in front of her, trying to contain how shaken I was. Where are Elicia and Major Inaba? Elicia is doing laundry and the Major is probably off getting dressed or something. Oh, Elicia sure works hard first thing in the morning, huh? Inaba, on the other hand, he always dilly-dallies right up to the last second. He knows when he'll get promoted. Or who knows when he'll get promoted if he keeps that up. He doesn't really want to be promoted, does he? That's no good. She shook her head, her face stern. I don't intend to listen to a man who doesn't get anywhere in life. You should know that by now. That's harsh. Well, it's fine by me if he isn't promoted. I just don't like men who can't figure out what they should do, then stick with it. What they should do, huh? My hunch was I too had something like that. Something I had to put everything on the line for, that I had to accomplish no matter what. Something feels off about you. Me? You've been staring at my face for a while now. It's about time you distanced yourself from your sister a bit. That's not it. When I tried to answer, my voice started to shake. I couldn't believe I was able to meet my sister again. This out-of-place sensation kept growing, and I was starting to feel a little impatient. Well, that's fine. You have a lot going on. My sister smiled sweetly. You're an adult now, and you've found something important to you. Sis? So the intermission ends here. Sis. My smiling sister and I were standing in the place we once said goodbye. Yes, she and I said farewell on this very spot, and never met again. This short dream will end, and your long reality will start again. Oh, another dream? And after I told Scion to face reality, what the heck am I doing? Everyone's reality is fraught with some degree of pain. What's wrong with seeing what makes you happy in your dreams? It's not an escape. No, it doesn't matter if it is or isn't. You will continue to fight in the real world. You've fought ever since the day you said goodbye to me. No, since long before that, haven't you? I'd say you've fought a little too much myself. Major. But your fight will end very soon. You did well, truly. I didn't do anything. I just had things I never wanted to lose. Everyone treasures something. I'm proud of you for fighting to the bitter end to protect them. I'm proud of you too. You're like a little brother to Inaba and me. Sis, Major. Alright, it is time for you to get going, Ryou. Elicia? Elicia stood there like a phantom with a smile on her face. You have a little while yet before you come to this side. Rather, I do not want you to come here for a very, very long time. Yes, you must not try to come here. You will survive, Ryou. Do not give up, no matter what happens, and keep your eyes on the future to the very end. Though I bet you would survive whether I said this or not. Well, this is my little brother we're talking about. Being terrible at giving up is in his blood. Never give up, regret nothing, and do whatever you want. That's the sort of life that suits you, Ryou. My sister nodded silently at the Major's smile. But this is all the time that I have for this episode, guys, so if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!